Hi there. I'm going to share with you something that really changed my life. Now, I grew up as a victim. I had victim consciousness. I believed that I was justified in being a victim, and I projected that onto the world. So I attracted rescuers and I attracted bullies and persecutors into my world, just simply because I was mirroring the turmoil, the wounding deep within me and projecting that onto the world. And what I ended up doing for many, many, many years was falling into this woe is me, sadness, victimhood, feeling, reaction, not response, reaction in my life. I fully justified being able to cry whenever I felt victimized, whenever I felt it was too much. And I allowed myself to go into self-pity a lot. This wasn't helpful expression of emotions, and this is what my message is today. There is a huge difference between allowing yourself to react to feelings of pain and between intentionally creating a space to go in and feel your pain at the root, which is shadow work. Intentional focus on feelings to find the root cause of that feeling and weed it out. Now I'm going to give you a bit of a metaphor I came up with for this. So there's two different ways that you can live your life, which I've just demonstrated. You can live your life as a victim, reacting to the world, projecting that victimhood onto the world and onto the people in your life to justify being a victim, and then reacting again. It's a vicious cycle of pain, constant fainting, constant giving up, constant self-pity, round and round and round in circles, triggered, creating inflammation in others so that you can respond and feel victimized again. Okay, and I know this, I grew up with this. And then the other way, intentional, focused shadow work, where you recognize a feeling instead of just reacting and feeling that without any consciousness. You consciously go in to feeling that pain, but you go right in. You give yourself space and permission to go right into that pain and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? And where does this come from? The root of it, the wounding, the bottom of the pond. And this is the metaphor. Imagine a pond, and it's filled with pond scum that floats all the way down to the bottom of the pond. And so on a still, fine day, you're happy. You can't really see the pond scum. It's right at the bottom. You're not aware of it. Everything seems fine. But the moment you feel under stress or a storm comes and those waters start churning again in your reality, then that pond scum starts floating up the top and you start feeling the pain of that pond scum. And what happens is you feel that pain and you react and you go, woe is me, and oh, poor me, and you feel that pain. But you don't go in and root out the pond scum with a shovel and get rid of it once and for all. You just feel that superficial top layer of pain and you allow it to settle down again, repress back down again to the bottom of the pond, waiting for the next storm, waiting for the next trigger, waiting to justify the next reaction. So when that pond scum comes back up, you feel everything again, and it becomes this vicious cycle in your life. You never actually clean the pond. You don't get to the bottom of it. You just feel the pain round and round and round. This is what I'm talking about, the victim cycle. Like I said, I know it well. Now, I'm living a very vastly different life to the girl who used to be in that victim cycle now? Well, it started with learning about the drama cycle, but now it has to do with a new way of being, and that involves shadow work. That involves facing the darkness. It involves diving down to the bottom of the pond and catching all that pond scum and rooting it out and throwing it out of the water, throwing it out of the reality once and for all, because you found it and you recognized what it was and you realized it didn't belong there. Okay. So I talk about shadow work all the time, but shadow work is intentional, conscious work on your feelings. It's going where you know you feel uncomfortable, where you only allow yourself to go when you're under stress, but going there intentionally and really feeling it, really going to the recesses of your mind to find the root cause of your pain and suffering. And so if you're anyone like me, if you grew up as a victim, as someone who felt helpless and hopeless and blamed the world and everyone else and everything else in the world for your predicament and your pain, if you do that, you're externalizing and projecting that inner child wound. Rather than just feeling the pain whenever it comes up and crying and feeling emotional and then, going for a glass of wine or some sort of distraction, you take that opportunity to consciously go in and find the root cause of that pain and feel, really feel, without any numbing vices, without any distractions, without any justifications for not feeling. You go right in there, find the root cause. And often a victim feels victimized in their entire life because when they were a child, they were made to feel helpless. And so this cycle follows you around as an adult. But you need to be brave enough and courageous enough to go into those memories and really, really feel that first experience of feeling helpless and out of control. And then validate and acknowledge the younger you who first felt that. Of course they felt that. Of course you felt that when you were in that moment. Of course you did. You had every right to feel that way because you were put in that circumstance or situation where you were out of control and helpless and left alone and misunderstood and misheard and not seen. And this is how a victim feels. But as an adult, we need to stop the cycle. We need to go back and validate the first incident in our lives and then give that inner child what they need to be able to become a responsible adult, someone who does not fall into the victim trap, who does not project that out onto the world and onto others in their lives to create constant reasons to justify being a victim, to take full responsibility back, to realize that you are in control, you're not out of control, you are not helpless and hopeless. You are the driver of your life and your experience. Do you want to continue being a victim? Do you want to continue having these emotional outbursts every day or week or year? Do you want that to follow you around in your life anymore? First, you need to acknowledge that you've been a victim and you've projected that into the world and you're continuing to create that in your life. And secondly, you need to have the courage to go and find the root cause of that first wounding and validate and acknowledge so that that inner child can heal. And so you can give that inner child what you have now, the understanding and the perspective, the higher perception that you are okay, that you are held by source, that you are pure loving awareness, having a human experience, that you can take off that simulation headset whenever you need to and go back to source and recognize that no one out there in your world is bullying you. It's all part of your simulation story. It's a mirror. So this higher perspective will give you back the knowledge that it's an illusion. You don't need to play the drama cycle anymore. And so there is a big difference between victim crying and shadow work crying, between expressing those emotions deeply in shadow work and between just reacting emotionally throughout your week to everything that triggers you in the external world that's reminding you of the turmoil in here. I just wanted to share that today. I think there is such a huge difference between these two approaches to feeling pain. One is empowered, one is taking full responsibility. One is in the driver's seat of their life and realizing who they really are and understanding that it's all part of the play of dark and light in this contrasting polar world. Not to get confused about who you really are. And the other one is being a victim and believing and falling for the deceit and the lies of the illusion of separation and fear. So this is just a video to help raise your consciousness, to become more aware of the difference between ways of expressing yourself and how that one can lead to healing and one can lead to constant cycling pain. And I know which one I chose, and I'm glad I did. It's made a big difference in my life, and it continues to. And it's a normal part of life to feel pain. It's a normal part of life. But it's how you deal with that. You're going to go to the root source, or are you going to be deceived and be thrown around in the illusion? I think I've given you enough examples. Please like, subscribe, and share if this resonates with you. It really is freeing when you start to consciously direct your healing in the pain that you receive in your life. And do some shadow work. Powerful, powerful stuff. Have a beautiful day. See ya.